That should have been a clue to you that you had me on the wrong medication. Didn't anybody ever tell you that I almost killed the first guy that gave me a Valium?
Well, I was lucky. They didn't force it. They tried. They did everything they could. They went in front of the judge over and over. And the very end of mine, after 3.5 years, the Attorney General got up and said, Your Honor, the state moves to release Mr. Pantone, because the court had no legal right to hold him for more than 1.5 years, and he's already been held for 3.5 years. So the Attorney General in Utah dumped it back in the lap of the judge, saying, we didn't hold him, you did. And yet when I tried to file suit against him, I'm told by the federal court I don't have the right to sue a judge for an intentional violation of constitutional rights and civil rights. He knew what he was doing. But it's all political. And when you get into that political arena, they can throw the towel at you and say, hey, take this guy down.
It is, but you mean you couldn't go back and sue these people over this?
It got dismissed out of the federal court system, and I couldn't find a judge willing to go to Utah and fight their system. So I figured let's just put together a couple of books and a few movies and give out the names of the good, honest crooks there. You know, the ones that go to church every Sunday and say how great they are. Let's give them some exposure.
Well, that's why I started the Free American. That's why I'm doing this radio show, Paul. You know, if we can't educate people about what's happening, then we can't. We become slaves again. And I think they've refined the art of slavery to the point the slave don't know they're slaves. I'm not a slave. I can go to the bar and get a beer. Watch. It's called economic slavery. And the pharmaceutical industry, and maybe even food. You know, if the food doesn't have the nutrition, if it doesn't have the trace elements in it, trace minerals in it, if it doesn't have the proper, if it's not getting the proper nutrition from the soil, if the soil has been depleted, then you're becoming disease prone.
Yes.
Now, I still believe, I kind of believe, Paul, that the whole idea of the Liberty Villages is really what we're going to have to do to America if we're going to get back to the Constitution, if we're going to get back to the foundation of every civilization, which is the self-sufficient family farm. Now, if we can produce our own energy, if we can use geek devices to run generators, backup generators, if we can grow our own food, non-genetically modified, eat unchipped chickens, and we can produce all of that in a small area, or even in a city block. If we had a city block, if you were growing your own food, and you got a geek engine in the garage, you got a geek carburetor, getting good mileage on there, you're going down to the farm to buy, you know, your biodiesel. We don't need to worry about the truck lines. We don't need to worry about the transmission lines. And with solar and wind, everything God gave us, couldn't we produce our own energy? What would we need the banksters? What would we need the government for if we're growing our own food, generating our own?
That's a good question. I was on the phone yesterday for almost 2 hours talking to utility companies here in Oklahoma where I live, and they've got the same basic rules that they do in a lot of areas. And when I called the local supplier, and I said, if I put in a 2-megawatt power plant here at my ranch so we can supply our neighbors, can you take the excess power and distribute it just up and down our street so the people in our area here can at least have power? And they said, no, if it's over 25 kW, we can't touch it because They only wanted us to handle nuisance power, solar panels, windmills, things like that, but they didn't really want us to be able to handle any real power. But yeah, we could really use it because we do have outages here that can last for a week. And when the people don't have their freezers, the meat goes bad. And when they don't have power, they don't know what to do. So yeah, we could use it here, but you have to go through this other company who's the only ones allowed to transport large amounts of power. And that company has its own interest because it is tied in with the grid, and it plays the same game as all the other guys in the grid do, and it is to keep the little guy down. But
I've said, Paul, that Obama's idea of greening America is selling the top of that mountain, confiscating the top of that mountain, selling it to a foreign corporation, allowing them to put up wind generators to kill all the eagles in the area, and then they'll pump the electricity back down to the power company, who puts it through the lines and sells it back to you. Well, why not just cut out the middleman and put a solar panel and a magnetic generator and I want your opinion on that, and a wind and solar panels on your roof. Dig up the backyard, get rid of the crabgrass and start growing your own vegetables, as my grandmother did in Weatherford, Texas, 50, 60 years ago. And again, what do you need the government for? This is the way mankind has existed for 10,000 years, except now we got the internet and we got satellite.
Well, the biggest problem I'm finding here in America is laziness. And when I tell people if they come to the school, I'll teach them not just geek, but a lot of different things that will help them to survive hard times. How to make gasoline, diesel, and kerosene out of plastic. How to take electricity right out of the air on the ground so your batteries will charge up. It takes 24 hours to do it, where it doesn't cost you anything. You don't even have to have a generator, but you have to have 2 battery packs, one that's charging, one you're using. And I've had people try it and say, well, you know how much work that is? I like to just flip a switch. Well, I don't want to have to melt down and heat up the plastic to get the gas, diesel, and kerosene. I'd rather go down and spend $5 a gallon buying gas.
You're right. It is being lazy. It's taking responsibility. It's taking responsibility for yourself and your children in the future. I mean, my God, what we're why you got to pay for that house 3 times? We could put, if some people were working together, and homeless veterans would be happy to work for a home and food, and they'd be good to guard the place too. So I would make these liberty villages, put them on farms and ranches across the country, and rebuild. Before the Depression, 30% of Americans lived and worked on a ranch or a farm. They turned our grandfathers into criminals. They made them into they were making alcohol to run their tractors and their Model A's and Model T's on, and they made them into criminals. Oh, these are bootleggers and moonshiners.
I've got to share this with you. I went down to Pahrump, Nevada, and I think it's $8 or $10 million plant there to convert vegetable oil into a biodiesel blend. And the guy takes me through this whole plant. He says, here's where the stuff comes in from McDonald's and every place. It comes in barrels or a big truck. And then we clean it out. We do this. We filter it here. We take this out. We do this. And he shows me the whole operation. And then he tells me that now we can mix this with 30% this with diesel, and we can sell it to the truckers. And what do you think of that? I said, well, let me show you what I think of it. I went and got my little engine out of the back of my car. I went to the first barrel that was open with French fries floating on top, and I grabbed a cup of it, and I poured it right in my engine and started it up. I said, I don't have to refine it. I don't have to filter it. I can just use it. And he was blown away because here he is looking at $10 million worth of equipment that's not even needed.
Now,
we don't have to refine it.
Now, repeat how this works. So how is this guy making this? Now he's making biodiesel, right?
Yeah, but he has to spin it, and he's got to heat it up to certain temperatures. He's got to get all the impurities out of it. I don't. I just use it right out of the drum. But I also use crude oil right out of the ground. There's 90 times more energy in a gallon of crude oil than there is gas. So I go for the best. Now, my plans are right up on the internet. We offer free plans, and then we offer sales. We do sell plans to people if they want help to put it on a vehicle or a generator. We'd be happy to help them there. They've got to buy a license to do it. But the free plans are up at geekinternational.com. And so is my phone number. Anybody who wants to call me, go there. I'm the easiest guy you're going to find. This is my personal number. I don't have secretaries. I take my calls, and I service my customers. But we have people all over the world that call me up saying, hey, I'm putting it on a 454, I'm putting it on a Peugeot, I'm putting it on a Lamborghini. They have to send me a picture of what they're putting it on, and I'll walk them through the details how to do it.
Yeah, my friend Jack Bauer, or he does a radio show on Talk Show. He would like to have you on, and I will send him the Geet International that has your phone number on it. So
that would be appreciated. As far as the other problem there with our young Columbine friend, if I were helping in that case right now, I would probably get out a letter, get a copy of the yearbook, find out every family I could. I'd get a hold of the whoever the class president was and see if they can help. And I would see if I could get every one of the students that were at that school to sign a petition to have him released right now.
Well, he is being released right now. As soon as this show is over, I'm on my way up to walk him out. We have succeeded in getting him released and getting him out, Paul. We have done that. Wesley Hoyt is the attorney. We're just
civil rights. You're going to have to find a civil rights attorney that isn't tied into any of the current organizations, because so far I haven't found one that isn't tied back into the psychiatry. They all seem to be holding hands.
Well,
they protect each other.
We've got two here that aren't. So we are doing that. We are doing that, and Mark will be released today. Tomorrow, I'll tell you about it on this show. But, it was just so strange, Paul. It's like nobody official in the official capacity would help at all.
Nope.
No, nobody would do nothing. Sheriff, doctors, AMA, nobody would do nothing to help Donna Taylor and her son.
Well, when you get him out, get a tape recorder and get that thing going, and a video camera, and get everything you can on tape while it's fresh in his mind, every single little note he can, because after time it will go away and you're not going to want to remember it. You will block it. The torture and things I saw, if I didn't keep notes on it all, I'm sure I would have forgotten part of it because I don't want to remember it. I mean, seeing little kids torture, 20-year-old kids. There was one kid in there that belonged somewhere, but not in national security. They needed to find out what his problem was, and if the psychiatrist never sees him because she's afraid of him, and because he punched people once in a while, they turned him loose back on the street, and 2 days later we watched it on the news, a kid was stabbed to death in a bar. He had a personality disorder, yes, but is locking a person up in a cage going to solve it? No, he needs to talk to someone, figure out what the problem is, and overcome that problem. You can't just lock it into a cage. It's like locking up a pit bull.
I've got two.
Turn it loose. If it's hungry, it's going to eat.
I've got 2 cameras in my hand. I'll be wearing 2 cameras today. I will be filming Mark as he walks out, and hopefully he'll be. They will at least bring him down a little bit off the drugs before they make him walk out on the street, hopefully.
Yeah, put it up on YouTube, The Columbine Survivor.
I will.
And put it up as a series, little 10-minute spots. You'd be amazed on how many people will get their hands on that in a hurry.
That's right.
YouTube really helped with me when we started showing the torture And the torture site, there was a special site set up just to cover what was happening to me, and that is geekfriends.net. And you can see my broken toe. You can see the infected foot. They refused any antibiotic. Then they threatened the one doctor who came in to visit me who took a blood test. They said he didn't have the legal right to do a blood test. I'm sorry, he's a doctor.
A legal right
He's
to
doing
do
his job.
That's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible what they can get away with, what they can say. I mean, you know, and most people go along with the consensus. They become part of the consensus by keeping their mouth shut.
Yeah. I don't know how many people, when I told them that you're not allowed to grow a garden anymore, that bill passed, they look at me and go, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, well, you didn't seem to care about it, huh?" "Oh, well, care about what? Growing a garden." "Oh, no, I go to the store and buy my food." They don't get the picture. But now that we've seen it on British broadcasting, that you almost need to go to the store with a Geiger counter. I guarantee if you walk into a store with a Geiger counter, check the food, they're going to be calling cops to have you arrested for disrupting their business.
Yeah, they're talking about Depakote on the Depakote is what they tried to make me take. And when I was out, and I wouldn't do it. I refused to do it.
Well, they offered everything they could to me. It kind of freaked them out because the first 5 or 6 months I was there, they kept getting reports back to the psychiatrist that the guards never saw me sleeping. Every time they'd open my door, they'd look in the window, I'd be sitting up, looking back at them. And the doctor kept saying, well, why don't we get you on some Ambien, or we'll try this, or we'll try that. And I said, no, thank you. I don't need drugs. And when I'm tired, I will sleep. And after 5 months and nobody being able to catch me sleeping, they couldn't figure out how the heck I was breathing.
All right, let's take a call here, Paul. Paul Pantone is my guest today, 760. Who are you, and do you want to talk?
Hello, Clay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was just wondering what he thought. Have you heard of all that natural gas that's underneath the ground over there in Pennsylvania and all the way down to Virginia? You know about that?
Yes, sir. I had that up my website. It's on page 2 of the website. If the proper spark was hit and the proper combination hit, half of the United States could go up in flames. And in Pennsylvania, what you're referring to is the coal mine that is still burning to this day. It's been burning for about 40 years.
Really? Well, yeah, we're talking natural gas that's available. I heard that they may start making cars to run on natural gas. I mean, they could, and it'd be really cheap. And we got more natural gas than the whole Middle East. In fact, Texas is half full of natural gas too. All we got to do is tap it and use it.
Yeah, that's what had me worried when they were talking about setting an atomic bomb over the oil platforms, the leaking oil platforms. I said, oh, that'd blow up half of the country.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, it's an available source right now that they know about, and nobody's, using it.
And we've got more oil up in North Dakota. Gary Johnson just talked about that yesterday. We got more oil in North Dakota than they got in Saudi Arabia, but they want to take all of our money and tap everybody into everybody else's oil and enrich the oil companies and the sheiks and the International Monetary Fund, when we could be producing our own energy. We could have 25 cents a gallon gasoline like Venezuela. All right, listen, thanks for your call. I appreciate it. I'll let you, if you want to stay on and listen, I'll leave you on that. Okay, Paul, what about Venezuela? What about the oil? What about the Bakken fields up in? I mean, with the GEET device and the oil we've got here, we got enough oil for 500 years if we never bought another drop of oil from the Middle East.
Yeah. Now, I've heard that from many people that work out in the oil fields. We just keep drilling wells and tapping them, cap them off. And so we have enough fuel already to be self-sustained forever. We don't need to be buying it from other countries. We don't need to be in their business. As far as protecting our assets, yeah, if there's an asset to be protected, but when all you're doing is creating debt flow for military equipment that really isn't going for military equipment, it's just feeding your grandkids because there's kickbacks on everything. I'm sorry, we've got a political system that is taking total control over the slaves, and they want to make sure the slaves have no money.
Okay, we are broadcasting on Blog TV. This will be going up on YouTube. My guest is Paul Pantone. Geet International is the website. GeetInternational.com.
We have a class coming up on the 4th of this month, and another one on the 25th of this month. So anyone out there who is interested in coming in and learning about energy and how to produce your own energy at your own property, you're welcome to give me a call and set up, come into class.
All right.
We're trying to get 100 U.S. dealers to handle all the sales so that I can close my doors to the teaching and get on with building bigger and better inventions. So right now we need an army of people out there to teach and to handle the sales.
No, Paul, I've got a suggestion here. I mean, if the farmers out there, anytime a communist regime takes over a country, they go after three classes of people in order. They go after the farmers first because they don't want you being able to feed yourself. They go after the intelligentsia next. That's anybody smart enough to know what they're doing and might present a threat to them. And third, they go after the veterans and police officers that are still loyal to the old regime. We're in that stage right now. They're going after they've gone after the militias. Now they're going after the veterans. Now they're going after the oath keepers. And they've already gone after you and me because we were smart enough to know what the hell they were doing.
Well, that's why I'm making my knowledge available to foreign countries where they do want to clean up their own messes. They would. We had one lady here from Chernobyl. She's a scientist. Wanted to know if we could get rid of the atomic waste, but because of the political situation, they couldn't work with PaulPantone. So they can work with my sub-dealers and licensees. So we're setting them up to work with who they can work with. I realize I'm a very political thing in the government's eyes. I'm not trying to be. I'm just trying to help mankind have clean air and a clean planet. So I shouldn't be a threat to anybody.
And I'm just an old biker from Texas, man. I don't know what the big deal is with me. Why are they trying to stop me?
Well, they like to control the media, and you happen to be part of that. Now, when you and I first met, a couple of years later, I went on TV the first time at KCRA in Sacramento, and the poor guy who put me on TV, it was his first week as an anchorman, and I called him back the next day and said I'd received almost 100 death threats and company threats against me. And he said, Mr. Pantone, after putting you on the news, I'm lucky to even have a job. And if you could walk on water, I would not put you on the news again.
That's pretty incredible. That's pretty incredible.
Anything that is anti-government and helping people have freedom is anti-government. And back then, I didn't understand what he meant. What do you mean anti-government? I'm trying to help this government so our oil will go further. And we can fix the roads where they don't fall apart. I mean, we've got roads that are 70 years old that have never been repaired. And Eisenhower paid to have those done. But when he found out they worked, they said, oh, we can't use those. We got to support the oil industry. We got to use asphalt.
All right.
I really didn't understand politics.
Well, all I know is that, you know, they're not stupid. If they were just stupid, occasionally they'd make a mistake in our favor. And I'm quoting James Forrestal, you know, Secretary of Defense, the one that they threw out of the 10th floor of the Bethesda Naval Hospital for making that comment. Paul Pantone, GeetInternational.com. thank you for all the work that you've done. I'm gonna be staying in communication with you, because I'm going to be asking farmers to donate 5 acres so we can put some inexpensive structures out there, teepees, yurts, that type of thing. Provide a home for veterans, and protect the place. Help grow our own food, produce our own energy, and show the American people what getting out of Babylon is really about. Paul, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you, sir.
God bless.
God bless.
Call recording has been completed.
Okay, just a minute, boys. Just a second, boys. Come on, boys. Come on.